Hey everyone, welcome back to the Athlete Mobility Blueprint. So in this video, I'm going to explain why rotation is the fundamental movement of all of our joints except for the spine. So our joints are surrounded by a capsule made up of ligaments. And if this capsule is restricted and tight, there's not going to be enough space for the two bones to move relative to each other. And what's going to end up happening is the bones are going to just run into each other, and you're going to get a pinching sensation, also known as closing angle joint pain, and sometimes you can call it impingement. But how do we increase space in this joint capsule? The only way to do that is by increasing our rotation. And the reason for that is the way that the ligaments surround the joint. So as you can see here, this is a rough diagram of a hip joint. If we rotate the joint, we're going to actually be stretching those ligaments. Whereas if we move in a linear movement, we're not going to actually be accessing that capsule. So guys, if we want to improve any sort of linear range of motion, so let's take for example the shoulder. So if we want to improve shoulder flexion, or extension, or abduction, first of all we need to improve our external rotation and our internal rotation. Same thing goes for the hips. In a lot of our other joints, rotation looks a little bit different because they're not ball and socket joints. So for example in the wrist, what we consider rotation is actually tilting this way and this way. Then in the ankle, it's actually tilting, inverting and everting, and you have to have those movements in those joints before you can increase your flexion and extension. Another reason why rotation is the fundamental movement of each joint is because our joint capsule is the deepest layer of tissue. So all of our tissues are interconnected. So we have mostly muscle in this part and then mostly tendon in this part, but in the middle it's actually a combination of the two, and they all flow into each other. And the name for that is bioflow. So we have this bioflow all throughout our body, and the joint capsule is the deepest layer of that bioflow, and it's closest to the nervous system. So all our information from our joints has to go through the joint capsule to get to our nervous system. So if we have a terrible joint capsule, it's like our joints are blindfolded or they have blurry vision. And the healthier that capsule and the more space we have in that capsule, the better information we're getting from our joints and the better we can move. So I'll just give a quick example. So say for example, we want more shoulder flexion, but as we're lifting up, we're getting a pinching sensation in our shoulder. Some of you guys might experience that. What you need to do is you need to check if you have enough internal rotation and external rotation. And if you don't, you need to work on that. And what you'll find is, as you get more and more rotation, you'll find the pinch gets further and further away. So you can get more and more flexion before you get that pinching sensation, and then hopefully eventually that pinch is going to go away. And then once you have adequate space in your capsule, so adequate rotational capacity, then you can work on that linear mobility and flexibility. So yeah guys, rotation has to come before linear movements, except for the spine. The spine, so that includes the neck, thoracic and lumbar spine, you need flexion, so rounding of the back, and extension, so arching, before you can get rotation and lateral flexion in your spine. And that's just because of the way the capsule of the spine and the vertebrae is designed. All right guys, so yeah, main takeaway, rotation before linear range of motion. If you have any questions, let me know in the Mastermind channel, and I will see you in the next video.